Hello and welcome to the Great Cricketer on 7. Ian Higgins here with Sam Perry and Dave Edwards. Boys, let's roll through segment number one with some true or falsisms, as it were, to start with. Obviously, we're going to be talking about the series conclusion in Canberra over there. Australia wrapping up the series 2-0. First of all, lads, all the runs that were scored in Canberra, do any of those runs count for anything, Sam Perry?
I think they count for everything, Higgos. I was really glad to see, after such a poor start to the Australian summer, we finally saw the real Australia in a real test match. We finally got the hundreds that we grew up seeing, that we craved so dearly, and I just feel like Australia kind of restored itself back to reality. I think India was the aberration. I think Sri Lanka brought a good game, but I thought, it was fantastic that Burns could score 180, Travis Head 160, Khawaja got 100. Who else got hundreds?
Patterson
got 100 as well.
Hundreds for everyone. Oprah was just saying hundreds for everyone, as she does. It felt like a bit of a massive overcorrection for me. I mean, it's been a terrible summer. India came out and dominated us relentlessly, and now we get all these runs suddenly. Yeah. Just feels like an overcorrection, kind of like Trump coming into power after Obama. Just a massive overcorrection. Let's see what happens next.
Okay, so that's yes or no. The runs, do they count?
Well, statistically and emotionally they count, but as far as a form guide for Australia being good again, they don't count whatsoever.
Okay.
No. Oh, you're asking me as
Yes.
well. I guess that's television. I should answer the question. Look, I think they do count statistically, but in my mind, and I speak for the nation,
don't do that.
And I look forward to the backlash from the viewers. When
You
I say that
don't
these,
speak for me.
oh, don't, you're right. I also didn't, give away the 1 day as to a rival network. So we didn't do a lot of things. But one thing I can say safely that these runs don't count. Neither the wickets that we got count. Nothing in that test match counted, although it was nice for Canberra to have a test match.
In the same vein, boys, let's talk about Mitchell Starc. We're asking today, particularly after his 10 for 100,
Yes.
which kind of came as a suffix to a poor summer otherwise. Mitch Starc, hot or not?
It's just so many wickets in such a short space of time, isn't it? I don't know if he's hot. I mean, it's the final test match of the summer. It's great to see him running into a bit of form just before going away on a holiday to Bali with his wife. Perfect time to come into form. 7 months till the next test match. Probably not hot.
Well, I'm torn because, there's been a lot of chat about Starc and his form and what he's doing with his body language. Famously, Kanye West said previously that he believes that one day humans won't won't communicate through language at all. They'll be talking through body language, eye contact, emojis, and signs.
Right.
So, it's just good to see him, stand up a little bit taller. He's 6'6", he's quick. Sure, he was blind to left-handers. The one thing left-handers can't face is other left-handers. That's one of the niche little aspects of cricket. So, do the wickets count? Is he hot or not? The wickets sort of count. It was a flat pitch. He took 10 for 100, clean, OCD-friendly scores there. But,
OCD-friendly.
Is he hot? I think he's hot.
Yeah, because I thought you were going to say he's like you're lukewarm on him.
I'm
at
hot
the
on
moment.
him.
No, but this is binary.
Yeah. He bowls at 150 kilometres an hour. Let's not forget that. Can Australia, heading into the Ashes, relinquish its addiction to 150 k's an hour? I'm not sure we can.
Well.
I've got him on a short leash, boys. I've got him on a short leash.
Are you going to dog walk him?
I'm not sure
Who's
I'm going to
gonna
dog walk him
dog
like
walk
Cardi
Mitchell Starc?
B to Tommy Lahren, but I've got him on a short leash. I think if he fails in the first test, also I can see him going for a lot of runs. If he can't get that ball moving, I'm getting rid. I got him a short leash.
I just think though some of our most successful bowlers in England have been, Sean Tate and Mitchell Johnson.
Okay.
Guys who are
Yeah.
the quickest in the
point.
country, and they do so well over there in England. So I
Raw
think he's first name in
speed,
the team
spraying
sheet.
it everywhere, definitely. Okay, let's move on. Sri Lanka came over here, didn't really put on a great show, did they? Is this the worst test team to ever tour our nation?
It's a huge question. I'm going to say no. I don't think they're the worst. I think they have some contenders. I recall the West Indies side of 2000, 2001, which did have guys like Brian Lara and Jimmy Adams. Brian Lara, decent player. Wavell Hines. Sorry.
Yeah.
And Mahendra Nagamutu. They were pretty poor.
Isn't that the guy from Zoolander?
Well, he had a few guises, but there was Zimbabwe 2003. They had Tatenda Taibu and Heath Streak. I'm not sure if
Is he on Street Fighter? Sorry, I'm just going to derail everything.
Heath Streak did look like M. Bison a little bit, but that's a separate issue. But yeah, who we're going to remember from the Sri Lanka tour? Dick Weller stood up. I thought he was a good player.
He's still up. Bit of chat as well.
Yeah, but I think the point is with Sri Lanka, they were bad in relation to a poor Australian outfit. That's that's why it kind of
Right,
looked bad.
the
At least those-
juxtaposition
yeah.
made it look worse than it really was.
At least those other sides were playing against glorious Australian teams, so you could always say, well, they just ran into a really hot side, whereas our Australian side was terrible and still dog-walked Sri Lanka.
Lads, without a doubt for mine, Sri Lanka, the worst team that's ever come out here in the 138 years of Test cricket. Just made that number out just now. I think that this Sri Lankan outfit of the Fire Festival without any sort of the hype. So obviously the thing about the Fire Festival, started big on Instagram,
Yeah,
right.
much like this program. But there was absolutely nothing to be excited about with this Sri Lanka. I mean, Karuna Ratne, opening batsman for Sri Lanka, made the ICC World Team of the Year. Absolutely spare me. No good. I mean, there's no names to be taken away from this outfit. Even Angelo Matthews was injured. Second string bowling attack. I mean, they were awful from start to finish. Nice of them to come out though. Enjoyed both Test matches. Okay. Lads, Ashes obviously on everyone's minds now. With me to go from that segue into this one, but we're thinking about opening batsman. Dave Warner seems to be in favour immediately. He's got a lot of runs in grade cricket, so that's his first name in the team sheet. Joe Burns or Marcus de Boogie Harris?
Right.
For you.
Do we have to choose one of them?
Yeah.
Binary.
Is that what this
One
is?
or the
It's a
other.
binary segment, yeah.
So one of them must partner
Yeah.
David
Yeah.
Warner.
Yeah, and the other one cannot go
And
on
the other
tour.
one cannot go, must be
and their
banished
career-
from Australian cricket forever.
Exile.
Okay, exile or play for Australian Test cricket. Look, I think I'm going to probably choose Joe Burns just because it's a right and left-handed combination, and I think those two guys get on pretty well off the field from the rumblings that I hear.
Do you sense issues with Warner and Harris?
Yeah, well, they're very similar, aren't they? They're like for like. One's almost a prototype of Davey Warner. So I wonder whether they can coexist if they're so similar.
There's only room for one Davey Warner.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm a Burns guy. He looks like Pete Murray. He's got kind of rugged looks. It's unwavering bias towards the aesthetic. Nothing against Marcus Harris, good-looking guy. Burns is more of a 9 out of 10 in terms of looks. Really like how he looks. But I do think he's scored a lot of runs. I think Marcus Harris, he looked quite good against India. He looked like he was capable of playing against high-class fast bowling. He's summer kind of regressed a little bit. He failed against Sri Lanka on 3 occasions out of 3. He really would have been great if he cashed in there. Burns came straight in, bang, runs. I'd like to see him partner Warner.
Okay, let me put another question to you. How many runs would it have taken for Joe Burns to score in the second Test match for him to be guaranteed selection?
350.
350.
Yeah.
No further questions.
Okay, a couple more before we go, guys.
okay, yeah.
Manuka Oval or
Right.
Manuka, as some have suggested that it should be called in Canberra. First Test match there ever in its history. We're asking today, Manuka Oval in a crowded summer schedule, delete or keep?
Delete or keep Manuka Oval as a test venue. Look, I think it's a good experience for Canberra to have. I mean, I think that it was a good. It was good to see some runs again. There were a lot of runs, and I think we desperately needed them. So it kind of served a purpose. But was it kind of a one-off? Was it like the Fire Festival? Do we want to go around and do it again? I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure. So I'm probably going to say, you can't really delete them because they're the nation's capital. Sorry, lads, you're not getting any more Test matches. So I'm probably going to say keep, but I don't want to see any more tests at Canberra for a few more years.
I know this isn't the answer, but I'm swiping right on Canberra. I thought it was just a fantastic venue, 11th Test venue, 12,000 capacity. And, I think if ever Australia are going to play the 6th-ranked team in the world in February, I think we're better placed to play that game than in Canberra, where, you can fill it out. They played in Brisbane before, Australia's forgotten Test venue, and they've had 6,000 people there on day one. People don't care about it. They want to play their footy in Brisbane, not in Canberra, though. I mean, sure, they do play footy in Canberra.
I would agree that, we can play at Canberra again. I'll let it happen, but only if we're playing a team that's ranked at least 6th or below in the ICC rankings, because we want to see runs, and I don't want to see other teams hit runs. Only shall we hit runs.
I want to see. Look, I'm going to go a step further. I want to see big time Test matches in Canberra. It was a great ground to watch cricket at. It felt very English, and imagine an Ashes Test in Canberra the day that we celebrate the birth of the Republic. Yeah, I'll get political. What of it?
What about? I like the idea of it being so packed out that people clamouring for tickets. You see on other grounds, people getting in high-rise apartment buildings overlooking. I want to see people on Parliament Hill, on Capitol Hill.
I want to see blokes
just
trying to climb on stands and in major OH&S safety breaches, just trying to get a view of an Ashes match.
Yeah.
Okay, I've changed my view entirely.
So
forever.
keep Manuka.
Keep Manuka.
And the last one, lads, we've obviously seen at the same time that Australia has been dominating Sri Lanka. England have been struggling against the West Indies. We're obviously playing England in a month, 7 months' time or so. Are they bad or are they good, England?
It's a binary question, and it's right to be binary. You can only be bad or good when it comes to cricket. And they say you're only as good as your last game.
Right.
England's last game was bad. Does it therefore mean that they're bad?
So does that mean...
No.
I mean, well, Bradman hit a duck in his last Test match, so is Bradman bad or good?
Exactly.
Well, he was right to be dropped.
He was bad.
Yeah. He was right to continue his
non-selection. Shouldn't have played around that.
Mm.
Absolutely had no idea.
Yeah,
Tim
Pickett.
I think there's a thing going on here where England aren't as good as what we think they are at a Test match level, and Australia aren't as bad as what we are perhaps suggesting, especially the three of us on this.
That there's grey areas in
I
cricket?
think there are some grey areas, particularly the overcast conditions of the UK, where they will beat us 3-1. But
I think
I think they've got obviously for the last few tours to England, it's been the Stuart Broad and James Anderson show. Stuart Broad's a shadow of his former self. They've got this guy Sam Curran opening the bowling at the moment with James Anderson. Took one wicket in the last 2 Test matches. No, thank you, Sam. I can see us scoring some runs. I see Warner opening the batting with either Burns or Harris doing okay. Kawaja's in the team. Steve Smith back. We aren't as bad as what we're making out. Okay. Saying that, 3-1 England.
Oh, that is such offensive, though. You can't say it. I mean, you're saying
we have
England
to geo-block this to Australia only. We can't let English people see this television show.
I think England will win the World Cup and the Ashes, and it will be a complete cakewalk, and we'll be dog-walked. Segment 2. Let's move on to segment 2. And this is important because we are into early February. It's about this time of year. It's a club cricket focus that we're doing here. It's about this time of year that people start considering and reflecting upon their season and thinking, will I play next season? You started the season in pre-season. You went to some kind of club culture night where there was a whiteboard and someone who spoke in new ageisms like Justin Lanka does, got up there and said, how are we going to improve our club culture? What are your goals this year? You write them down and you say you're going to score 800 runs and take 25 wickets despite having never done that in your life before. We are going to run through the reasons why this hasn't been your season, nor our season, in broadcast terms. Who would like to kick off here? We've got 6 reasons here. Does anyone like to kick off?
There you go.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll start off. Okay. Well, number 6 is that you are continually placed in the bad net. Now, obviously, when you go to training, there are 3 nets at all times. The first grade net is number 1 net. The middle net is the kind of fence sit net where you're like, I could play a bit of 2s, but I'm probably going to play 4s. And then there's what's known as the shit net. Now, the shit net is one of the worst places you can be seen in society because you'll be bowled continually by guys wearing jeans at training or training in whites, training in black trainers, that kind of thing. I mean, none of these things are good things that to be happening to you, but that's why you are continually failing at cricket and considering your place in the squad next year.
It's hard to get out of the shit net as well. Once you're in it, it's something of a purgatory in cricket terms. It's very difficult to get your way out of the shit net because you're playing against shit bowlers.
And I'd probably suggest to turn up in a suit to training because you're afforded disproportionate respect out of the fact that you're wearing a suit. And I say that even in the full knowledge that the Commission into the Banks has come down. So the Royal Commission's actually been...
ruling,
and 76 rulings and 24 suggested criminal indictments. Despite that, still head down in a suit. I think people will afford you disproportionate respect and you might be able to bat in net 2 or net 1.
I think nothing that scares grade cricketers more than guys who have a job.
Number 5, this is well suggested from Higgos earlier, was my $899 bat doesn't have the low middle that I or you prefer, which is, a bad tradesman blames their tools. That's essentially what it is. But that's a reason you haven't succeeded.
Yeah, I mean, that is a joke. I mean, sure, you would have picked up the bat. Basically what you're trying to do is you have to buy the bat which matches your pad and gloves, therefore giving the impression that you are sponsored, even though you're not. You're heavily in debt. Yeah. You have 4 different credit cards spread across 5 different banks. That doesn't even make any sense.
It's funny how, interoperability is very important in cricket. You cannot have different brands on you. You must adhere to the brand that you've chosen and stick to it till you die.
Very funny.
Yes.
Okay, number 4 here, guys. And I think interoperability. And a very important one. Yeah. Concern over your individual carbon footprint.
Yes.
So obviously, driving to training is very harmful on the environment. Increased CO2 emissions. I mean, global warming is a serious problem at the moment. And sometimes, as millennials, we think about whether going to training is even good for the environment. So driving to training in a car equals fuel equals, impacting on the environment and the future of your unborn children. So I think we can all have some kind of concern over our individual carbon footprint, and maybe that's why it hasn't been your season.
Yeah, and these are consistently the thoughts that go in your mind where you're thinking, should I go to training or not? Or should I just finish this game of FIFA that I've been playing for the last 3 days?
And this is our time where we are putting a call out to Cricket Australia and Kevin Roberts. Become carbon neutral, please, because the whole future of grade cricket depends on it. Too many of us are far too concerned about our individual carbon footprints.
Even though, as we know, global warming is a myth created by the Chinese government.
We have said
Could
that
you
earlier.
offset your carbon emissions by a little donation to grade cricket or Cricket Australia? Maybe you could put that fund towards helping fight global warming.
I could see that.
Just
When
some
you-
suggestions, just making some political suggestions on television.
you pay your umpire's fee or your match fee,
Yeah.
depending on what kind of level of cricket you play at, that you just add a little dollar on.
Yeah, or
to
just
it
your
for-
subs. Yeah, just $2 goes towards saving the world.
But
That's
no
all
one
I'm
pays
saying.
subs, that's the
Yeah.
problem.
Well, yeah. We'll never fight global warming.
Okay, lads, number 3 here, reasons why you have this has not been your season is, of course, the slow rollout of the NBN. Now, it's a huge issue here in Australia. You wonder, we're probably sitting at home wondering, well, what has the NBN got to do with my cricket season?
Yeah.
Well, everything. I mean, if
If
you're
you're even able to watch this video, I mean, the
Yeah.
buffering could be a
That's
massive
exactly
problem in
right.
its own
And
right.
that's
huge
the
problem.
meta joke.
I mean, a lot of people have experienced, the joy of watching Damien Martin's cover drive on repeat on YouTube over and over again, and just trying to, experience what he experienced at the elite level of 4th grade cricket that you're experiencing right now. So the NBN has a huge impact on grade cricketers.
How are you meant to do any data analysis on my cricket if your NBN connection's so slow that it just keeps buffering? Or what if your own cricket results, such as mine, have not been uploaded into my cricket, which has nothing to do with the NBN and more about the poor issues at my own club? I apologise, I digress.
Why don't clubs have an ATM machine at all points? It's got to be cash only. We live in a cashless society, grade cricket
Why don't they have
clubs.
pokey machines in the clubhouse? And why don't those revenues get directed? I don't know. Sorry, I'm on absolute tear tonight.
Number 2, reasons this hasn't been your season. Unrequited throwdowns. Now, we're all familiar with this. This is probably a little bit more familiar than, say, the slow rollout of the NBN or carbon footprints. But this is just that simple exchange, that simple love exchange, that Shakespearean exchange of delivering and receiving throwdowns at training. There's a lot of people out there who like to receive but don't like to give. And if you're one of these people, then you have probably had a bad season.
It's like being
because you must give.
It's like, yeah, absolutely. Being a generous lover, being a generous giver of throwdowns, very important for the health of a relationship and your batting average. Okay, number 1, lads, we're finally there. And this one is a bit abstract possibly, but number 1, your pre-season goals were wildly ambitious, thus your sense of success and failure is deeply skewed. A little bit existential, as you said at the top. You thought at the start of the season you'd hit 1,000 runs and take 60 wickets, and as each week unfolded, your outcomes, your goals changed and were rated down, continually revised to the point where you should probably just leave the game of cricket.
It's a bit far-fetched, this one, I think.
Yeah, I don't know, it's a bit
I think the
abstract.
reasons above are probably better reasons
Yeah.
for the failure of your season and the reason to never come back and play again. But I guess there is something to be said for just having an awareness of your own actual ability.
Limitations.
Cricket is a game that lends itself to manipulation and lies, and perhaps you should consider whether you're doing that to yourself. Then again, perhaps we only do that to continue surviving in this dark and increasingly dark world.
Yeah.
It would actually help us more if more of you actually failed. That's actually the good thing for us. So more
Failure is good for our comedy.
Yes, correct. Yep.
More failure. All right, lads. Segment 3 and the final segment of this television show today. It's Ask TGC. Can I call it television? It's digital television. It's television nonetheless. So this is the time of the week where we take your questions from Facebook, from Instagram, from Twitter. The first one comes from Tom Carmody, or Carmody95, is his Twitter handle. He says, "Hi, TGC, I'm about to make a comeback to cricket after retiring to focus on my misses, essentially. I'm terrified I'll be bullied by teammates on return. Can I ever be a man again?" he asks.
Dear, oh dear.
Yeah, a bit to unpack here.
Yeah, I
Firstly-
mean, all of these questions are revolve around Tom's friends, not his real friends. Yep, I mean, in life you have real friends, you have cricket friends. Cricket friends are the people that you ascended to purgatory with by playing all of your Saturdays and Sundays with, going to training twice a week, unless you're playing C1 warehouse cricket, whatever that is, so I can't quite figure that out. But, I mean, why is he getting bullied for looking after his girlfriend, spending more time with his girlfriend?
Why is he coming back? What happened to
has
the
he
missus?
has he succeeded on giving his girlfriend or wife enough focus that
Yeah.
now he's allowed to come back and play, or is the relationship terminated in the form of a no-fault divorce? I'm not quite sure how that's unfolded. He's worried about being bullied on his return, presumably because of toxic masculinity.
Yes.
He's scared, what they're going to think about that. You come back.
Yeah.
Is the bullying because he originally left to look after his missus, which I do notice in inverted commas, could mean anything. Could mean video games or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be Red
I
Dead
think we
Redemption
all fear bullying in all
Yeah.
scenarios, including cricket. But just watch the Gillette ad. What it says is correct. Let's just all be better.
Okay.
Couldn't agree more. All right, well, we'll roll on to Umesh, who says, who asked, is it okay to not walk after edging the ball in backyard cricket?
Of course it is.
Interesting question, Umesh. I mean, yeah, of course it's not okay. But I guess if maybe if you want the game to keep rolling, then you would accept your wicket. Otherwise, it's just a it's a cold war. It's mutually assured destruction. The game won't actually continue to go if no one wants to relinquish their wicket.
I think it's a bit of a rite of passage to not walk after edging it in the backyard. It's the only way you're going to learn. Like, it's the only way you're going to incorporate, like, or get to experience some very, like, helpful and positive shaming in your life. With any luck, your mum, your dad, if they're still together, despite 50% divorce rates that we know of, will sort of say, no, you should have walked, we all heard it, upon which you'll say, no, I hit the grass, Mum, and they'll be like, no, you go to bed now, it's time to do your homework. And I'm like, no, I'm not, I'm staying outside.
Where's Dad? I went off for a pack of cigarettes and never came back.
30 years ago.
Most of these instances happen off the back of a dodgy LBW decision.
That's right, and that starts from not walking. If you start walking from this, I don't trust anybody who innately has the morality as a child to walk after they like lightly edge one through to the keeper.
Does it indicate kind of a psychopathy gene, perhaps?
Yeah. Okay. Isn't this one of those things where, like, if you are the cricketer of your friend group or of the family, i.e. you just happen to play some men's cricket or senior cricket, in that, like, how seriously do you take the game of backyard cricket? Because, like, it's condescending to, like, get out to your 4-year-old nephew who can't really bowl. Or, like, but if you take it too seriously, it's like, come on, mate, it's just a game. But it's like, you got to find yourself in this middle ground where you bat a bit. You got to exhibit that you can play the shot, maybe tonk your mum around, a little bit.
Sounds a bit...
With the bat?
Yeah.
Is it again still problematic?
Once again,
made it worse.
Just correct it. You meant it in cricket
Yeah.
terms.
All right, we've got one more tonight, lads, then we can go home. This one comes from Brett Carson, BCast29. Is it wrong that I ban the reverse sweep in backyard cricket until the kids turn at least 9? I'm conflicted. They play it quite well, but have been bowled a few times too. Totally confused, he says.
Well, I reckon Brett Carson likes himself a bit of Channel 9 commentary, bit of the old school stuff, just a bit like, playing the V until you get to 30, then you try your fancy Dan stuff. Yeah, that's what he'd be saying. I don't know, Brett, but I mean
Brett's sitting there watching this right now. In fact, he's probably not, but he's sitting there right now ready to show his kids that the boys from the grade cricketer have said, no, make sure you play straight until you're at least 9. Well, sorry, Brett, your son or daughter can reverse sweep whenever they want. In fact, if they have the enterprise and ingenuity to effect a reverse sweep before the age of 9, they're a talented player and should be encouraged thusly.
Yeah, Brett.
I disagree. I think the reverse sweep is a little bit like voting or buying guns. You should be mature to a certain age before playing it.
Right.
And actually, I think the brain in males only develops fully when you're about 22, 23. I read or saw some documentary on that. I don't think men's brains are ready to be playing reverse sweeps at the age of 9.
What would be the appropriate age? 22,
well, as I said,
24?
Science indicates that the male brain is only fully formed in their early 20s. So I would regulate it to not be used until at least 22, 23.
Okay. I wouldn't be shocked if Justin Langer's having this exact same conversation with, say, Glenn Maxwell.
Yeah.
Or the B-Cars 29 is actually Justin Langer.
Well, we've done it again. That's the great cricketer on 7 for this week. Ian Higgins here signing off with Sam Perry and Dave Edwards. We'll see you next week.